I'm Jeremy Nicholas, and this is the After Dinner Show. My guests tonight are Phillip Khan-Panni, a wordsmith who retired to Ireland, where they share his passion for speech making and singing. Olivia James is a Harley Street anxiety and trauma specialist who gave up the chance to be on TV to be with us this evening, live from London. And Billy Schwer is a former world boxing champion who's now a world-leading inspirational, motivational speaker and personal performance coach. And he joins us live from Yorkshire. Hello, Billy.
Hello, good evening.
Yes, and I didn't say where you were, Philip, but you're, because I can't really say it. Is it Naas?
I'm in Naas, which is about 20 miles outside Dublin.
Yeah, Naas. And is it a very nice place to live?
It is a very nice place, yes.
It's where I've never heard of it, but you said that's where the race course is.
There is a nice race course, a very famous race course, half a mile away from me.
All right, okay. And so I want to talk to Billy about his boxing in a minute, and I just want to clear up this, Olivia. You could have been on TV tonight, but you turned it down. I don't know how much we can reveal, but as I understand it, you were going to get paid.
I was
the part of a tall woman in
exactly.
a lineup.
Exactly. Yes. No, I had a prior commitment. Plus, I actually had a client this afternoon as well. So it isn't just you. It isn't just that the payment is owing to me. The monies are owing to you from right. You to me.
What is the going rate for playing a tall woman on television?
It wasn't going to be very much the agency. It's over. What's the 100? What's the Cockney slang for 100?
A one.
100. What's the Cockney slang for £100?
A one.
A oneer, yeah. It's a oneer, isn't it?
A oneer. It was more than a oneer, but less than a pony.
Right. So okay. Pony's 500, a monkey's 25.
Right.
Wasn't it about a oneer plus a monkey, wasn't it?
Yeah. Yeah.
Plus a lady Godiva, because you've told me it was 130. So yeah. Lady Godiva's a fiver. And then I don't know why a monkey's 25 and a one is 100, but a one might be one as well. I'm not officially a Cockney, so although I grew up in East London, I'm originally from Cambridgeshire, and my mum was a primary school teacher. So when we moved to East London, she made sure that I was the only kid on our street that pronounced the H in West Ham. and then years later, when I became the stadium announcer at West Ham, I was once called in by the chairman and said, "Jeremy, you don't sound Cockney enough." And for the last 3 games of a season, they got Chris Akabusi to announce the teams before kickoff, just to give everyone a boost. And some of you may know Chris Akabusi, yes. Great motivational speaker.
Yeah.
Not in your class, Billy, but very, 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 he does his best. And we got relegated that year. So well done, Chris, for dropping his H's. Right. Okay. Let's kick off then with Billy. You're a former world boxing champion. Tell us about that. How did that happen?
Well, this is what it's all about. This thing here.
Crikey, look at that! I'm putting you on speaker view so we can see that nice and big. That's lovely, isn't it?
It was a long, arduous journey to get that. So I had a dream when I was a kid to become a world champion. So I pursued it with so much rigor and venom. And eventually I achieved my dream and was crowned the world champion. But my first attempt, so I started boxing when I was 8 years of age, had my first contest when I was 11. I became a national champion at 13, traveled all around the world, had a great amateur career, turned professional at 21. And then when I was 23 years of age, I challenged for the British and Commonwealth Championships at the Royal Albert Hall. And it was an incredible night. I was victorious. So I was on my way to becoming a world champion. I was a British and Commonwealth champion. I had great management around me. Mickey Duff was my manager, my promoter. He got me a shot at the world title in Las Vegas. Vegas.
Nice.
I remember standing outside the MGM Grand, which was the biggest hotel in the world at the time. And I remember standing up there and looking, and 30 foot up in the air was a big display unit, and my name was flashing in lights. Billy Schwer, Luton. I'm born and bred Luton Town, and I'm very proud to say that. Now, world title fights are not easy to win, especially in Las Vegas, and it was an absolute battle. Let's get ready to rumble. Remember him, Michael Buffer? Yeah. He was the MC. So, unfortunately, it was a tough fight. I had 70 stitches. I got 2 big cuts, so 1 over each eyebrow, which required 70 stitches. So they stopped the fight. I came back home. I still had the dream. I have a dream. I get back to work. I worked my way back up the rankings again, and I challenged for the European title over in Spain. I knocked him out in the 10th round in an epic contest, and I was crowned the European champion. I come back home, defended the title 3 times, so which enabled me to be, I was ranked #1 in the world. So I got another shot at the World Championships at Wembley Arena. Great contest, boxing a guy called, he was from America, Stevie Johnson. He was the best in the whole world. And the fight started, and it was like, he was brilliant. He was so quick. He was so fast. I just couldn't catch him. Go 12 rounds. I go to the center of the ring, awaiting the decision. Ladies and gentlemen, the winner is Stevie Johnson. So I'd lost again in the pursuit of my dream to become a world champion. But there was a lot of controversy after this fight because he failed the drug test.
No.
No wonder I couldn't catch him. So quick. I hate people who take drugs.
Yeah.
The police, customs and excise. Did you get that one?
Yeah.
That goes straight up your head.
No.
So anyway, he got away. He got off on a technicality. I felt cheated. He went back to America with his world title belt. I went back to Luton with more stitches in my face. I was bashed up again. I had a dream though. I go back to the drawing board, get back to work, and I get another shot at the world title. My 3rd time of asking, 3rd time lucky. I'm certain I'm going to win this time. Wembley Conference Centre. I box again, 12 tough, rigorous rounds. It goes the distance, and I'm standing there waiting in the centre of the ring, waiting for the MC to announce my name. And I'm thinking, yeah, this is it. I've done it. Now the referee grabs hold of my wrist, and he tightens his grip, and I'm thinking, he's going to lift my arm up in victory. I've done it. The 3rd time I'm asking. This is it. Ladies and gentlemen, the winner is Colin Dunn. My opponent won on a split decision.
Oh.
It was so close, and yet it was so far. I had a dream, though. I go back to the drawing board, sit down with my team, and we get another shot at the world title. The 4th time of asking, I step up into the ring. The little voice in my head, we talked of this earlier. The mental boxing match that we have. Can I? Can't I? Is it possible? Yes, it is possible. The fight starts. I had the dream start. In the 2nd round, I hit him with a right hand. Boom. And I hit him so hard, he went over. He hit the canvas. And I'm thinking, this is it. There is no way he's going to get up from that. And I thought, if he gets up from that, I'm going home because he shouldn't get up from that. And he got up, did he? So he got up, and we had an epic contest for 12 rounds. It was brutal. After the fight, coming out for the 12th and final round, Sir Winston Churchill comes to mind now, because Sir Winston Churchill once said, history will be kind to me, for I intend to write it. The 12th and final round, I came out to write my history. The bell goes, the fight's over, barely able to stand. I go to the center of the ring, and I'm awaiting the decision again. I look out into the crowd. I can see my mum, my sisters, all the guys that had supported me from when I was a kid. We're looking at each other, and I'd done enough. And eventually, I got to hear the words I've been waiting all my life to hear. And the new IBO light welterweight champion of the world was Billy Schwer.
Yay!
Yeah, and that was my dream. I shed blood, sweat, and tears in pursuit of my dream. Dreams do come true.
Yeah, blood, sweat, and tears. That's Winston Churchill as well. Although he did blood, toil, tears, and sweat. He actually said 4 things, but because of the
What did he say? Remind me.
He said blood, toil, tears, and sweat. And but people always forget the toil because they like 3s.
Yes.
He writes books about putting 3s in.
That's right. Yes.
Now, Philip, were you a boxer at school? Did you say, Philip?
Yes, I was a school champion.
Ah. I never had you down as a boxer. So where were you at school? Because you
in Darjeeling, in the Himalayas.
Right, in the Himalayas.
Yeah.
Right. So you were training at altitude. So you must have had very strong lungs.
Yeah. Well, a few years ago, we had a reunion, the alumni from our school in London, and this Burmese guy turned up. He was about this big, and he had with him his son, who was even taller. and we started talking about boxing, and I mentioned that I had beaten the guy that beat him. And his son looks at, you beat the guy that beat my dad?
Fantastic.
Pretty cool.
That is pretty cool. Now, I have relocated. So we started 5 minutes late because I started off upstairs. And then I had a major Wi-Fi failure. So I've come downstairs. And I've now realised that during Billy's story, I don't know if you could hear the dishwasher finished and started.
No, I didn't.
Did you hear that? And now
No.
now the dog's going, because we had some of AJ's proper pies from Twickenham. Can you hear him now doing that?
Yeah.
So we had some AJ's proper pies from Twickenham, which we always have on a Wednesday. Very, very nice when you're doing the show. But he wants some of the leftover pie. Just up there, even though I've put it in the recycling bin. He wants some of it. Is someone getting a phone call now? Is that?
Yeah, somebody keeps calling me. Do they need to...
It'll be your agent saying, "Can you do it?"
Yeah, like, where are you?
Put it on silent.
£1 for you.
This is actually, it's coming through on Facebook. My phone's on silent, but it's, hopefully it'll stop. Apologies. Yeah. We've had a few technical fails, haven't we, already?
Yeah. So I think maybe it's your agent saying that they need a tall woman's body on Midsummer Murders.
Exactly. I could do that.
What it is. Right. Well, I was going to come to you, Olivia, but I'll tell you what, we'll mute you for the time being and let's go to Philip for his story and then we'll come back to you if that's all right.
God, leave me alone.
Yeah, I know, that is the paparazzi, isn't it? And what happens is when you're on the telly, when you're on a show like this, people ring you up to tell you they can see you on it. And all that used to happen to me all the time. So let's go to Philip then for your true story, Philip.
Okay. Well, I was with Evelyn in Atlanta for a conference, a speaking conference, and we saw a guy there drawing caricatures of people. So we said, we'll be, you can draw us. And so he drew this. Now, can you see that?
Yeah. So this is you and your wife, Evelyn. Yeah.
Yeah. Now this is what she.
Now, can I just check which one's you and which one's Evelyn?
This is Evelyn. Look, this is what Evelyn looks like, and you can see what I look like right here.
Yes.
So, and then looking at that, I thought, is that how he really sees us? And it reminded me that all my life I've had difficulty in getting people to recognize me for who I am. You see, because I have an elder brother who excelled at many things. Best boxer in the school, best runner in the school, best debater in the school, and so forth. And I was his understudy. So I think for me to be recognized for who I am, I had to be really good at something. Now, I was good at roller skating. I used to skate around the school quadrangle, and once a month I'd go into town in Darjeeling and skate at the Gymkhana Club. Now, the town, Darjeeling, 7,000 feet up in the eastern Himalayas, population 20,000, a relic of the British Raj with quaint cottages and hydrangeas. And the Gymkhana was a social centre. It had a roller skating rink and a band that played Strauss waltzes and Sousa marches. And at the annual skating gala, there was a special event for the youngsters. Most stylish young skater. Now, age 14, I decided that will be me. So, the band struck up the skaters' waltz, and off we went. Da, 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 da. I wove in and out of the crowd. I glided in one skate, then on the other. I reversed. I did my heel and toe thing, and I knew I was being noticed. The judges stood there in an important line, shoulder to shoulder. And kind of village schoolmaster types, with multiple pens in their outside jacket pockets, hands behind their backs, and a couple of them were pointing at me with their chins in that Indian fashion. And I knew I had it in the bag. With a clash of cymbals, pa! The music stopped, and the roar of skates subsided like a dying wave. We gathered around the judges. "Ladies and gentlemen," proclaimed the chief judge, "it's time to announce most stylish young skater." I elbowed my way to the front, made sure the judges could see me. I was ready with my Oscar-winning thank you speech. "And the winner is..." He paused to reflect. "Eddie Dunn!" There's a thud as my jaw hit the floor. There's a second thud as Eddie's jaw missed the floor. Hit the floor. judges were looking at me, and Eddie came from there to collect the prize. And their eyes flickered, and they realized that someone had blundered. But no one had the nerve to say anything. And so I let it go at that, because Eddie's dad was a popular, local figure. So I thought that's what that's all about. But the following week, one of Eddie's sisters mistook me for him. And she said, "You look very similar. Same hairstyle, same rolling walk." So I told Eddie, and I said, "Maybe you got the prize because they thought you were me." He disagreed. Roll on half a century. At a major anniversary of our school, I was one of the guests of honor, and people wanted to come and talk to me. Eddie was there. And to his surprise, some people walked up to him and said, "Excuse me, are you Phillip Khan-Panni?" That's when he realized why I said he might have won my prize, but he still refused to hand it over.
Excellent. That reminds me, not quite on the same level, but do you remember in the Eurovision Song Contest when they were trying to pick the British entry one year, and Terry Wogan was there, and they said, and the winner is, and I think Scooch were the eventual winners, but they read out the wrong name. Terry read out the wrong name, and then everyone was celebrating, and then the producer said, no, it's wrong, and his co-presenter had to say, no, it's not them, and it was just a disastrous moment. But yeah,
the dog still wants pie.
I'll show you the dog because he clearly wants to be on the because he's just being quite annoying.
Hello, Jimmy.
So this is Jimmy Choo. Saying hello to the people.
Hello, everybody.
Hello, Jimmy. Hello, Jimmy.
I enjoyed your stories, especially that boxing fella. I really enjoyed that.
I once did a show reel for my speaking career, and I wasn't even in it. It was just Jimmy walking around Richmond upon Thames, and then I gave him this Cockney voice saying, "Please book my dad to speak, especially if it's a long way away from London, so he has to have an overnight stay, and then I get to sleep on the bed with Mum." And I got quite a bit of work out of that. But then once I did a gig in Amsterdam, and they said, "Oh, we nearly didn't book you because we looked at your show reel and you weren't in it. It was just a dog." The booker was Sean Connery. It started off vaguely Dutch, didn't it? And then it just went a bit Sean Connery. Anyway, so it's all going terribly well. So we've had a summer holiday after dinner show, and now we're back slick as ever with the kitchen as the background. We've got the dog.
We got people calling me on Facebook that I couldn't make it stop. I tried to make the noise stop, but it's obviously technical gremlins. Anyway, cheers everybody. I'm drinking an alcohol-free beer. I know Gem's on the whiskey, little cheeky whiskey.
Cheeky whiskey, yeah.
Water.
So if you just joined us, Billy's has been the world boxing champion. Phillip Khan-Panni should have been his school speaking champion, but got robbed by someone who looked a bit like him.
Oh, but I came second in the world.
Oh, yes. No, you are Are you the most decorated Toastmaster in the UK in terms of world speaking competition?
Yep. The only world silver medalist.
Wow.
UK in the UK and Ireland, isn't it? Toastmasters in the UK and Ireland. Congratulations. What was your winning speech about? Can you remember?
Yes, it was about the underdog.
Oh. Okay. Well, we haven't got
And
time for that.
it began with a quotation from a well-known poet. It said, "I thank whatever gods may be for my unconquerable soul."
Oh. Marvelous. Right, now we need to bring Olivia in because we've been ignoring her just because her phone's been a bit annoying. And for anyone just joining us, she's turned down £130 to be on a TV lineup of tall women tonight for a pilot for a TV show which we won't name, but she's very. She said, "No, I promised Jeremy," and she's not getting any money for being on this.
Exactly.
I'm paying the men, obviously, but Olivia, no, she's not getting it.
Exactly.
So let's go to your story then. Now, what's yours? It's about getting very, very scared about speaking, isn't it?
Exactly.
Yeah. Okay. So just to remind you of that now, this is a story about your fear of speaking. Okay.
Exactly. So it all started innocently enough with me actually going to support Jeremy. I went to see his first ever Edinburgh preview practice run in Stockwell. Do you remember this place? Do you remember this,
the
Jeremy?
Edinburgh Fringe, yeah. So
Yeah, exactly.
traditionally, what happens is you go and do a bit of a tour in London, so while you're still a bit rubbish, getting the rhythm of the jokes, and then when you're ready, when you've got it, so it's half decent, you go to Edinburgh, and then by the second week, you're kind of okay. But Olivia saw me in the first of 10 London previews when I really was rubbish.
And then you had a heckler as well. You had a heckler, and you dealt with it beautifully. Do you remember that one?
Oh yeah, so I did, because I did a story about Brian Clough punching me in the face. Hey, young man, you're the first journalist that's punched me in the face this year, but you won't be the last. Hit that. And I got to the punchline of the story and was just sort of delivering the last few lines of it, and this bloke went, "Yeah, he wasn't as good as Alex Ferguson, no, was he?" And I thought, oh, well, maybe not. He didn't have the, quite the success that Fergie had, but he won 2 European Cups. I thought, it doesn't matter. I've come to this story and he's just punched me in the face. It doesn't matter about Alex Ferguson. So
no.
I thought, I don't want a talk sport phone in here. I just want to deliver the punchline. Right, back to you, Olivia. You were in the audience thinking, crikey, he's dreadful. At least I can't be as bad as him.
But, well, not quite. On the way, we went and watched you, and you dealt with the guy beautifully, because we were thinking maybe the guy was not quite right in the head. So you were pretty kind to him, in fact. Anyway, we were like, so we finished our drinking. So I was drinking then. I'm on the alcohol-free beer now. And then our mutual pal Barnaby, as we were walking back to the tube, said, "So you know what? You should enter Speaker Factor, which is for people watching, is the Professional Speaking Association contest for aspiring speakers." And I thought, sure, yeah, I could do that. So I signed up. Seemed like a really good idea at the time. And then as the time approached, I was just like, I started getting the fear, like really, really badly. And I was thinking, this is like awful. Bearing in mind that one of the things I specialize in is treating people for public speaking anxiety. And I help people recover from epic fails, and also like people that have always had a problem. And here I was like totally freaked out to the point of like thinking, I need to get out of this. I can't do it. Like, it was quite overwhelming.
So you're a Harley Street therapist, specializes in overcoming people's fears of public speaking. You've entered your first speaking competition and you're scared.
Yes.
Okay, sorry, I just wanted to be clear that I got the sense of that.
Exactly, and this is how ridiculous it was. Like, I've done loads of speaking before, but never really to a panel of professional speakers. Philip will know what this is, but they're all sitting there like judging you. And literally, I just got so freaked out. I thought, I have to get out of this. So I thought, I know. I will call the organizer and try and persuade him that I don't quite qualify under the rules and to let me do it next year. So I called the guy and like tried to persuade him, and he was like, no, you'll be fine. And I thought, oh my God, that didn't work. So then I thought, well, I better sort myself out. And I did. And I got, like both of you both had like your times when you won and you haven't won. But it was just like, I was so shocked. It was like, I likened it at the time to like one of those show jumping horses that's coming up to a jump. And then all of a sudden it just looks at it and it freezes and it goes, if I try and jump that, I'm going to break a leg. And this is how I felt. I was quite surprised at the amount of fear that it caused me. But in a way, it gave me a really good insight as to how people feel, where they just think they have to try and avoid it. And I literally was thinking of any excuse I could to get out of it. So luckily it has a relatively relatively happy ending, and I've done loads of speaking since then, but it was just like I was like, I can't let people see me fail like this. You both have had this where you put yourself out there in a competition, you literally you have to roll with the punches, haven't you, Billy, basically. and to some extent I don't think you ever quite know. Like, as speakers, we've all had times where we've prepared loads and it hasn't quite gone the way we rehearsed it in our minds, right? I don't know if you've ever had this, Jeremy, where you prepared and then somehow it still doesn't quite go the way you planned.
Yeah. I mean, I've done the same show 27 days in a row at the Edinburgh Fringe. 5 days, absolutely nailed it. And it's gone really well. And then the 6th day did it exactly the same and didn't really get much response.
Yeah,
like, so much so that you think, I wonder if the microphone is broken or something, or have they let a lot of tourists in that have English as a second language or something?
Exactly.
And then the next night you come back, and so you're a bit worried, and you don't do it as well, and it goes down even better.
Yeah.
You know. So I don't know how that works.
Exactly.
Really, but talking about nerves, the first time I ever did an out-and-out comedy gig was in 1999, and it was at the Amused Moose in Soho, and I'd just done a 13-week comedy course with a guy called Logan Murray, and this was the showcase where everyone had to do a routine for the first time in front of an audience. And I'd done lots of speaking and broadcasting, but never out-and-out stand-up comedy. And so I'd written on the back of my hand my bullet points.
Yes.
Because my biggest thing when speaking is, will I be able to remember what's going on? You know, that's the big thing. Will I remember it? I've written it all on the back of my hand. And it was so hot on this summer night in the basement of this club in Soho. I was dripping with sweat. And the first time, after about 2 minutes, I looked at it and it had all washed away. And I thought, I don't know what to do. And I literally showed the audience and said, look, I've written everything on here and it's washed away. And that got the first laugh of the night, 2 minutes in. And then I just ad-libbed from that.
Amazing. Amazing. I mean, this is like one of the things that can happen to people. Like literally, they can just go completely blank. And as professional speakers, all of us, to various different levels, we have sort of backup systems, don't we? Many people have got some sort of backup where they can either grab some notes or they have some cards or something. But often I find that with people that if they go blank on stage, it can be really, really hard to recover from mentally as well. Like people, I talk about mojo, getting your mojo back after that's happened to you. It can be, take a lot, definitely.
Yeah. That's why I'm always grateful that I'm a humorous speaker, because if anything goes wrong, I can make a joke out of it.
Yes.
Serious one, and you get a whole bit in the middle. You know, and I've seen people do that. People that I know very well, and I've been the MC introducing them. And I think they've missed a whole chunk out there. And this next bit relies on a callback for something that they haven't said. And I'll be thinking, should I run on and do that bit for them? And I thought, no, that probably won't work. That's a ridiculous thing. Let's talk a bit about coping with nerves then. So, Olivia, what do you do when people come to you? If I was a nervous speaker and I came to you and said, I've got a big gig, I'm a bit nervous, what would you do with me?
First of all, I would basically take a case history. I would find out if you've had any epic like fails that have happened. So somebody I treated like had gone blank, totally blank, doing a TEDx talk where it's being filmed. So it may be a speaking thing where somebody's gone blank in front of an audience, or it may be some other thing. Like often when we were all kids, you know, I'm sure Philip at your school, nobody did this, but we would pass notes around. And then if the teacher caught you, they would say, right, you, Philip, you stand up and tell the whole class what was so funny. And then basically that becomes like standing in front of a class becomes a punishment for some people. So this association could start to happen. So the first thing I do is to find out where those moments are that are, we call them sensitizing events. Then often I will get the person to practice whatever it is they're going to do, their speech, in my therapy room, and we like work through it. Often I get them to cut it because often it's way too long. And then I give them strategies to manage their nerves in the moment, because often, however well prepared you are, when you're just about to go on, you are going to get a bit nervous. So it's about how to manage your own nerves as well. So it's really a three-part thing.
Yeah, nerves are a killer. Billy, did you ever have that when you were fighting? Did you ever, just before a fight, get really scared and think, oh, he looks a bit big, and just run off?
One of my first experience of that happening was when I was 13 years of age, and I was boxing in the national schoolboy finals, and it was going to be decided who was the best in the whole country, and I was absolutely petrified. I couldn't sleep the night before. I couldn't sit still. I couldn't eat anything. I was an absolute wreck. And when it came to my turn to put the gloves on to step up into the ring, now my dad was my coach. And I remember looking at my dad, and we were just about to glove up before I stepped up into the ring. And I looked at my dad and said, Dad, I can't do it, Dad. I mean, my dad looked at me and says, what do you mean? You're joking, you can't do it. This is the final. My dad's Irish, he's a paddy. He looked, I said, Dad, I feel sick. I feel sick, I can't do it. And he looked at me, he said, Jesus, well, go and be sick then. He clipped me around the back of the ear, and I ran off, and I found somewhere to be sick, and I actually threw up. I was that petrified. I wiped the sick from my mouth, went back to the gloving up toe, put the gloves on. I stepped up into the ring, petrified young man. I found the courage to step up, to rise up, put myself at risk, boxed for 3 rounds beautifully, and I was crowned the national schoolboy champion. And I realized in that moment that, you know what, if I can find the courage to step up, I can succeed, because I was physically sick. I was that petrified, and I'd overcome it. So from that moment on, I realized that was a pivotal moment for my life, that in the future that I realized, you know what, I can succeed. If I put myself out there, if I'm willing to have a go, I can succeed. And we can succeed.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember you used to wear green shorts, and I realised now that's because your dad's Irish. Is that why you were?
No, that's the Irish connection. Yes, that's it. Yeah.
Talking of shorts and nerves, when I was 11, we were in a school cup final for the Glade Primary School in East London, where I grew up, and one of my teammates, I won't say his name, but he got diarrhea, and not before the game, during the game, and he was wearing white shorts, and it was and he had to be substituted, poor chap, and he was in tears. And as he was walking off, he said to me, "That's that coffee I had, that's that coffee." And I remember thinking, as an 11-year-old, that's not coffee, mate, that's poo. I realise now what he meant, that it was the coffee that caused it. But yeah. I remember thinking, you're not going to get away with that. No one's going to believe that's coffee, mate, because it smells of poo.
Wow, that's amazing. As speakers, the last time I spoke on stage, which last November, when you're getting ready to go on and you're a little bit basically I just spilt luckily it was only water all the way down my dress. Little things like that. You know what they often say, sports caps are a real friend, because just before you go on, because you're bound to do something just before you go on, right? Anyone else done that? Spilled anything down themselves?
No.
I've often, when I've been emceeing an event over the lunch, got stuff on my tie.
Yeah.
Had to change my tie. Philip, did you ever get nervous when you were doing your big speaking competitions, when in the final of Toastmasters, to be the best in the world? Did you get nerves?
Yes. 3 o'clock in the morning of the World Championship final, I was walking the corridors of the hotel rehearsing my speech, because there were 9 finalists, 8 of them from North America and Canada, and the 9th one was me, representing the rest of the English-speaking world. And so I had 3 days between the semi-final and the final. The others had 2 months. So I was under-rehearsed, and I was walking about. I went down to where the stage was being set up, with the lighting and the sound and so forth, and I spoke to the guy who was doing the video filming, and I said to him, "Who do you think is going to win?" And he gave me 2 names, and one of them was not me. Well, neither of them was me.
Oh, neither of them, right? Okay, that's worse.
I thought, well, I'm in with the chance. Anyway, but can I tell you about an incident that happened to me when I was abroad doing a gig? I was in Oslo. I was doing the second course on communication skills with some senior managers, major engineering company. And within a few minutes of starting, I realized something was wrong. So I stopped and said, "Come on, what's the matter?" I sensed something's wrong. There was a slight pause, and one of them said, "We don't want to be here." There I was, hundreds of miles away from home, trying to develop a relationship with a new client. A reputation is at stake, and they didn't even want to be there. So I said, "Well, why are you here?" And they said, "There's been a political upheaval in the company, and all the managers who were booked on this course withdrew the last minute. And HR dragooned us to replace them, 8 senior engineers." And they said, we're engineers. Our work speaks for itself. Why do we need communication skills?" I had to think very fast. I have to do something now, otherwise the day is dead in the water. I said, "Okay, let me make a deal with you. If I can show you how you can use the skills that I'm prepared to share with you to do something unexpected, will you stay?" And they said, "What do you have in mind?" I said, "I'm going to make a speech on your subject. Are you up for that?" They were very specialist engineers, and they thought, how can this guy make a speech on our subject? So I said, I'm going to ask you some questions about your work. I asked them my questions. I put their answers on a mind map on the whiteboard. They said, what's that? I said, the mind map. The logic of it appealed to them. They said, teach us to do that. I said, yes, I will later. This is about 18 years ago. And I made a speech about them because they did software that kept drilling ships, static in the sea against the waves and the wind, using a satellite to activate water jets in the hull of the ship. And I said, you will develop that software so that you can eventually trace a vehicle anywhere on the land. And then you will go further and you'll develop the software that can trace any human being anywhere. And that's when you will encounter resistance, because people say you're doing the science because you can, and not considering whether you should. Right now, with COVID-19, we have many countries who have developed the software to identify exactly that. They can be able to trace any individual who has COVID-19. Wow. So I forecast that. And remember, this was long before sat-nav. And they were knocked out. They said, wow, if you can do that, you can teach us something. So that was a good result. But you've got to find something unusual and unexpected to do.
Yeah, that's excellent when you can engage people that don't want to be engaged. That is a real challenge. The one thing I find, if I'm ever being a facilitator at an event and it's a very specialist technical event, I can sound very, very knowledgeable just by asking questions, listening to their answers, and then ask something out, and they all get the idea that I know what I'm doing. And then at the end, what you have to do is you have to get away really quickly, because otherwise they over coffee and they'll start asking things. What do you think about this? And you think, I don't even really understand. I didn't know much about what was going on at all. I was literally listening to what you're saying, feeding it back to you, and then not really doing the long-term storage on it. Because that's all my background, all my BBC live TV and radio stuff would be interviewing people, asking them stuff, nodding. Then I think the thing is, I know enough to ask the questions, but I don't know enough to give the answers. And so that's why you have to get away in a cab. You have to keep the engine running during the speech to get away really quickly. Right, we're just about out of time. I always like to give my guests, though, a chance to plug themselves. So if people want to book any of you to speak at their event. So Billy, you do all this sort of peak performance stuff, don't you? This mental and boxing stuff.
I do the corporate stuff, the conference stuff when that's going. But I've developed, during lockdown, I've developed a brand new coaching program based upon the contents of my book. So I've launched that in May, which is going incredible. My mission in life is the transformation of the middle-aged man. So I'm working with business owners it's a 12-round Billy Schwer experience. It's a 12-week program. It's like a training camp. So that's what I'm mainly doing these days.
I would definitely come to that, especially if in between each round there's the woman that comes on with the number.
With fishnet stockings on, yeah.
Well, we don't know about that, Billy. But it sounds like an excellent program. Olivia, get me out of jail, Olivia.
I could. I was just thinking, I'd get you out of jail, absolutely. So the main thing I do is I help people with anxiety and trauma, so one-to-one work. Also developing some really interesting content on the dark side of entrepreneurship, sort of mental health support for entrepreneurs, and working out what are some of the things that can go wrong in entrepreneurship. Well, COVID can be one thing, obviously, as most of us have found out during the lockdown. And what else do I do? I'm also working on a very intensive support program for founders and VIPs as well. Sort of more intensive rather than just focusing on trauma or speaking anxiety. It's a 6-month, very intensive program where I basically throw everything at somebody that I've learned over the 23 years I've been a therapist.
Fantastic. So they come to your therapy lounge or whatever it is, and you just throw things at them.
Yeah, basically my consulting room. Yeah, I just throw things at them.
That's it. It's a consulting room. It's not a lounge, is it? And Philip has reached for a book, so we're going to get a very professional plug from him.
Oh yeah, Olivia at harleystreetcoach.com. That's how they can get a hold of me.
I'll put everyone's web addresses in the comments below this on YouTube so we can find that. Philip, you've reached for a book. What's that?
This is my latest book. It's called The Man Who Gave Away His Lottery Win. And it's written as a novel, but actually it's dialogue between two people. And it's about the communication process and the skills of communication, all written as a dialogue between two fictitious people. And it's very good, very easy read. People love it.
I like the cover. It's beautiful.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's a very Irish font you've got there, isn't it?
Yeah.
As we're plugging books, I'm going to plug mine. There we go.
Oh, right. Brilliant.
Hey.
I haven't written mine yet, but it is in the pipeline.
All right, hang on. Let me get a book quickly. Let me get a book. Bear with.
Man up. Man up.
Man up. Let's get it on.
This is my latest one that I'm reading. It's Jerry Seinfeld. Sign language.
Oh, look at that. You look so young there.
Yeah.
And you got hair and everything.
Yeah. That's good. And so I will have a plug, and that is that I've got a new group program called Talking Funny for Speakers, which is teaching speakers how to add humor to their serious presentations, serious laughs in serious presentations. I've done it 2 programs in lockdown, and it's going really well. And I've got 3 more coming up between now and the new year. Brilliant. So that's all on my website, which will be in the details down below. And do subscribe to this channel if you've enjoyed this, because the guests won't always be as good as this, but they're usually quite good. But I thought I'll come back after the summer break with a bang and have 3 big hitters. So thank you for. Oh, there he has a bit of big hit in there. I didn't know Philip was a boxer, but I did know that Olivia could probably beat me up if she wanted to.
Yeah.
Right, brilliant. Thank you so much. We'll say goodbye to the people on YouTube, and if you guys just stay with us, I'll say goodbye to you individually as we go. So goodbye, YouTube.